India's political landscape remained dominated by the continuing national debate over examination reforms and youth employment. Student-led protests that initially focused on alleged examination irregularities evolved into a wider discussion on recruitment transparency, institutional accountability, and employment opportunities. The government responded by reaffirming its commitment to strengthening anti-paper leak measures, improving examination security, and accelerating reforms aimed at restoring confidence in competitive recruitment systems. Economic activity remained relatively resilient despite uncertainty in global financial markets. Policymakers continued emphasizing infrastructure investment, manufacturing expansion, and private sector participation as the principal drivers of long-term growth. Economists observed that while international developments and higher energy prices created external challenges, India's domestic demand and investment pipeline continued to provide important support for economic stability. Financial markets experienced a volatile week as investors reacted cautiously to corporate earnings, global geopolitical developments, and fluctuations in international crude oil prices. Banking and financial stocks remained under pressure, while selected technology and consumer companies demonstrated greater resilience. Market analysts indicated that investor sentiment would continue to depend on inflation trends, monetary policy expectations, and global economic conditions. India's defense sector marked another significant week with renewed emphasis on self-reliance in military technology. Indigenous research programs advanced in areas including missile systems, surveillance technologies, and next-generation defense equipment. Nationwide commemorations of Kargil Vijay Diwas honored the sacrifices of the armed forces while reinforcing the country's commitment to strengthening national security and domestic defense manufacturing. Technology and innovation continued emerging as major pillars of India's growth strategy. Public and private institutions expanded work in artificial intelligence, semiconductor manufacturing, cloud computing, biotechnology, and digital public infrastructure. Industry leaders stressed that collaboration between government, academia, and technology companies will remain essential for maintaining India's competitiveness in the rapidly evolving global innovation ecosystem. Infrastructure development remained one of the government's highest priorities throughout the week. Construction progressed on expressways, railway modernization projects, metro rail systems, airports, logistics corridors, and multimodal transport networks. Officials maintained that these investments will reduce logistics costs, improve connectivity, and strengthen India's manufacturing and export competitiveness over the coming decade. Agriculture received encouraging support from improved monsoon activity across many regions. Better rainfall accelerated sowing for key kharif crops, while improving expectations for agricultural production and rural incomes. Authorities continued monitoring reservoir levels, rainfall distribution, and crop conditions to ensure timely assistance where required and to safeguard food security during the remainder of the season. Healthcare authorities remained focused on seasonal preparedness during the monsoon period. States strengthened surveillance for waterborne and vector-borne diseases, while hospitals reviewed emergency response plans. Public awareness campaigns encouraged preventive healthcare measures. Vaccination where appropriate and improved hygiene practices to reduce seasonal health risks. India's digital economy continued expanding rapidly as digital payments, online commerce, financial technology, and cloud-based services recorded sustained growth. Businesses accelerated investments in automation and cybersecurity, while policymakers highlighted secure digital infrastructure and responsible data governance as essential components of India's long-term digital transformation. The week concluded with cautious optimism regarding India's overall trajectory. Political debate, infrastructure expansion, technological innovation, agricultural recovery, and economic resilience together reflected a nation balancing immediate challenges with ambitious long-term goals. Policymakers, industry leaders, and investors continued expressing confidence that sustained reforms, demographic strength, and continued investment would support India's emergence as one of the world's leading economies. Education remained one of the defining themes of the week as discussions extended beyond examination security to broader reforms in digital learning, vocational education, skill development, and university-industry collaboration. Policymakers emphasized that India's future workforce must be equipped with technological, analytical, and practical skills to meet the demands of emerging industries and a rapidly changing global economy. The mental agenda gained renewed attention as policymakers and experts reviewed climate resilience, water conservation, forest protection, and pollution control. Heavy monsoon rainfall in several states highlighted the importance of strengthening disaster preparedness, flood management systems, and climate-resilient infrastructure while balancing economic development with environmental sustainability. The judiciary continued hearing matters involving constitutional governance, public administration, digital privacy, and institutional accountability. Legal experts observed that judicial oversight remains an important pillar of India's democratic framework, particularly as technology and governance become increasingly interconnected. Law enforcement agencies intensified efforts against cybercrime, organized financial fraud, and online scams. Authorities strengthened cybersecurity measures to protect banking systems, government infrastructure, and digital payment platforms, while encouraging citizens to remain vigilant against phishing attacks and digital fraud. India's diplomatic engagement remained active throughout the week as senior officials held discussions with strategic partners across Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and the Indo-Pacific region. Talks focused on trade expansion, defense cooperation, supply chain resilience, technology partnerships, and regional security, reinforcing India's role as an increasingly influential global partner. The manufacturing sector continued attracting investment across electronics, automobiles, pharmaceuticals, defense equipment, and advanced engineering. Businesses announced expansion plans supported by infrastructure improvements and production-linked incentives, reflecting confidence in India's long-term ambition of becoming a major global manufacturing hub. The country's startup ecosystem maintains strong momentum, with investment flowing into artificial intelligence, health technology, clean energy, agri-tech, financial technology, and logistics. Entrepreneurs and investors highlighted India's expanding innovation ecosystem and growing international interest in technology-driven businesses. Heavy monsoon activity remained a major national concern as several states experienced persistent rainfall, localized flooding, and transport disruptions. Disaster response agencies remained on alert, while state administrations coordinated relief operations, monitored river levels, and advised residents in vulnerable areas to exercise caution. India's sporting community remained focused on the Commonwealth Games, where athletes competed across athletics, boxing, swimming, parasports, lawn bowls, and weightlifting. Strong performances in several disciplines continued boosting national confidence and demonstrated India's expanding depth across international sporting competitions. The entertainment and tourism sectors also remained active throughout the week. New film announcements, streaming releases, and regional productions reflected the continued growth of India's creative industries, while domestic tourism supported hotels, airlines, restaurants, and local businesses despite weather-related disruptions in some regions. Authorities continued promoting heritage tourism, ecotourism, and improved visitor infrastructure as important contributors to long-term economic growth. India's banking sector remained one of the strongest pillars of the economy as both public and private lenders reported steady credit demand from retail customers, small businesses, and infrastructure projects. Banks continued expanding digital banking services while strengthening cybersecurity systems to protect customers against increasingly sophisticated online fraud. Analysts observed that healthy credit growth and improving asset quality continued supporting confidence in the financial sector. The renewable energy sector maintained impressive momentum with continued investment in solar parks, wind farms, battery storage, and green hydrogen projects. Policymakers reaffirmed India's commitment to reducing carbon emissions while ensuring reliable energy supplies for industries and households. Experts noted that the country's clean energy transition is creating new opportunities for manufacturing, employment, and technological innovation. Telecommunications remained another important area of development as companies accelerated expansion of next-generation digital infrastructure. Improvements in network coverage, internet speeds, and rural connectivity supported the rapid growth of digital education, telemedicine, e-commerce, and financial technology, reinforcing the country's digital transformation. India's pharmaceutical and biotechnology industries continued strengthening their global position through investment in research, advanced medicines, and vaccine development. Companies expanded manufacturing capacity while increasing exports to international markets. Industry leaders highlighted innovation, quality standards, and regulatory compliance as essential for sustaining India's reputation as a global healthcare manufacturing hub. The automobile industry continued progressing towards cleaner mobility. Manufacturers announced further investment in electric vehicles, battery battery production and charging infrastructure while expanding production across passenger and commercial vehicle segments. Industry experts believe the country's transition towards sustainable transportation will accelerate as technology improves and consumer adoption increases. Public health authorities remained vigilant during the monsoon season by strengthening disease surveillance for dengue, malaria, waterborne infections, and other seasonal illnesses. Hospitals reviewed emergency preparedness plans while awareness campaigns encouraged hygiene, safe drinking water, and early medical consultation for symptoms associated with seasonal diseases. India's logistics network continued expanding through investment in freight corridors, multimodal transport systems, inland logistics hubs, and port modernization. Officials maintain that improving logistics efficiency remains essential for reducing transportation costs, strengthening exports, and increasing India's competitiveness in international manufacturing. The country's science and research community continued making progress in artificial intelligence, semiconductor technology, space science, biotechnology, and advanced manufacturing. Government agencies encouraged greater collaboration between research institutions, universities, and industry partners to accelerate innovation and strengthen India's technological capabilities. Business leaders remained cautiously optimistic about India's economic outlook, despite continuing geopolitical uncertainty and fluctuating global energy prices. Strong domestic consumption, ongoing infrastructure development, technological innovation, and favorable demographic trends continued providing confidence in the country's long-term growth prospects. As the week concluded, India presented the picture of a nation balancing immediate challenges with ambitious long-term objectives. Political reforms, economic resilience, infrastructure expansion, technological innovation, defense modernization, agricultural recovery, healthcare preparedness, and sporting achievements together reflected a country continuing its transformation while strengthening its position as one of the world's fastest growing major economies. If you enjoyed this video, there's plenty more waiting for you on Orc. Whether you're in the mood for historical stories, breaking news, horror, science, mythology, drama, crime, comedy, or jokes, simply visit the playlist section on our channel and choose the content that matches your mood. Also, don't forget to check the video description. We've updated all of our playlists there, making it easy for you to find and enjoy the content that matches your interests. If you like our work and want to support us in creating more quality videos, please subscribe to Orc, like this video, and share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.